Thank you. So my name's Sam Cobb. Like Christine said, I've been working in this area in terms of commercialisation. My background is science. I worked in a diagnostic company in Brisbane for a number of years. I developed a pregnancy test. You add a drop of blood and then it tells you whether you've got a DVT or blood clot. I loved working in the lab but found it to be a little bit boring, so went off and studied law part-time and got my Masters of Intellectual Property Law. So from there I've really focused in on commercialisation of early stage technology and really the founding CEO of AdAlta got this started about 10 years ago. So AdAlta, our code is 1AD. We listed on the ASX August 2016. We had an oversubscribed offer at that stage, raising 10 million. The price at the time was 25 cents. Our market cap was 25 million. The listing is to take our lead iBody drug candidate through to the end of phase 1. So our lead, we announced about a couple of months ago that we'd improved on this lead candidate. We now call AD214. I've got a picture in this slide of what AD214 looks like. So you have two iBodies. An iBody is our novel platform, and we've improved this probably 100-fold in terms of its potency and the amount of time it stays in the body. We've gone from 1 day to at least a week. So it was a significant improvement. We're treating a disease, like Christine mentioned, called fibrosis. So fibrosis is essentially scarring. So you cut yourself, you get a red area, that's inflammation. Then you get a build-up of a scar. That scar is essentially a protein called collagen. Fibrosis happens in a number of different organs. So in your lungs, you get inflammation and you get the build-up of that collagen protein, and it stops the lungs from moving. In your eye, like age-related macular degeneration, you basically go blind. In your liver, you get a build-up of collagen and it stops the liver from functioning. You get cirrhosis, fibrosis, and eventually cancer. So in the kidneys, diabetes, you get, again, the kidneys stop functioning. So huge unmet medical need and a lot of conditions. Pharmaceutical companies are obviously very interested in drugs, and what we see is a really early stage commercialisation deal in this area. So drugs get acquired at a very, very early stage. So typically you need some proof of concept in people. In fibrosis, what we see is drugs being acquired at the end of a safety study, which is very interesting. So our goal is to take our lead through to that point and partner with a pharmaceutical company. So we got orphan drug designation in the US, and we're developing a pipeline of iBodies sitting behind our lead candidate. We've got an experienced team in order to do this. So our code is 1AD. We've got a market cap at the moment of 36 million, round about there. We have significant institutional support. So our major investor, UR Capital, is out of Perth. They have backing from one individual, Peter Mewers. He used to be the CFO of Fortescue Metal Group. Platinum Asset Management, Mark just mentioned, 27 billion under management. They're a healthcare fund. The leading healthcare investor in that space has a PhD and worked for Big Pharma, significant experience in healthcare. City Castle is a high net worth out of Melbourne. He was one of our first investors, and he listed the first biotech company. And then national nominees below that is another institutional investor. So as a company, we have about 65% institutional investment. We have our top 20 shareholders hold 83%, so significant, I guess, investment from high net worths and institutional investors. So I'm the founding CEO, but I'm also surrounded by a team of well-experienced people in this sector. So Paul McClellan is our chairman. He was the chairman of IDT, another ASX-listed company. Robert Peach, he's got an amazing background. He listed a company called Receptos, which was acquired by Celgene for $8 billion. He's taken antibodies right through from the beginning to the end. One of those is called Orencia, sells for $2 or $3 billion. John Chiplin, he was the CEO of an ASX-listed company bought by Cephalon for $200 million. And then Liddy McCall and James William represent our major investor. We've also got an amazing world-class scientific advisory board, including our CSO, Mick Foley, based out at La Trobe Uni. Brian Richardson and John Westwick are both ex-Novartis. So these guys, John was head of pulmonary drug discovery at Novartis, developed 5 drugs that are currently sold and about 14 that are still in the clinic. And then Brian Richardson was head of R&D at Novartis. Steve Felstead and David McGibney, they were both, David was head of Pfizer in the UK and Steve was underneath him in terms of head of cardiology. So we have a team of scientific advisors that can take a drug right from early stage discovery all the way through to a clinic and a product. So our market opportunity we're looking at in the first instance is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So as Christine mentioned, idiopathic is unexplainable and pulmonary, the lungs, fibrosis. There are 2 approved drugs for this. They don't work in a lot of people, so 30% of people they work in. If you're diagnosed with this disease, you will die within 2 to 3 years, and 40,000 people die every year. It's a very small indication, but pharma, they sell these drugs for about $100,000 per person per year. So this is a $1 billion market opportunity set to grow to about $4 billion by 2025. So huge unmet medical need as a lot of patients don't respond to the existing treatments. So real need for a novel therapeutic. So some of our data that we have recently published includes this animal data. The top picture is what a normal lung looks like. The middle picture is what a diseased idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis lung looks like. So you have that build-up of that protein called collagen. And then the bottom picture is the disease model treated with our i-bodies, treated with our drug. So you can see a significant difference between the disease and our model, our data looking more like the healthy lung. We've also shown that we're better than the 2 existing treatments, so pirfenidone and nintedanib, which was really important for the FDA to get our orphan drug status. So orphan drug status in the US means that the regulatory agents will actually help us and assist us get our drug into the market. So we're looking at a target called CXCR4. We'd be a first-in-class target in this area, which is important also from the FDA in terms of fast-tracking. On the left here, you see a picture of what a normal, it's a bit hard, but the diseased lung is really stained very heavily with our target, which means that if you're treating this disease, we'll only have an effect on disease cells, not on healthy tissue. We've published this in a peer-reviewed journal called Nature Scientific Reports. This is a very significant and highly regarded journal. There's a lot of interest in this space. So here is all of the deals done since 2011 in the area of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So you see a lot of assets being acquired at the end of phase 1. So those last 2, the top 2 actually, they are 100 million upfront at the end of phase 1 and between 400 and 500 million in milestone payments. So very early stage deals for significant quantum. The second one down, they just started their phase 2 study. So significant commercial opportunity. We saw 2 recent readouts late last year where Fibrogen, a NASDAQ-listed company, saw their market cap increase by $1 billion for a phase 2 study with 100 patients. And Galapagos, their market cap increased by about $500 million with 17 patients over 12 weeks. So significant market uplifts with some initial proof of concept data. One of the things that we have done over the last 12 months is really broaden out the application of AD214 and our lead candidate. We've shown that it has an effect in the lung, but also in the eye for age-related macular degeneration, in the liver for a disease called NASH, in the kidney for renal fibrosis, and in the skin with hypertrophic scarring. So showing that, you know, when you do these early stage deals, part of what a pharma's looking for is that validation across a number of different models, as many as possible. And we've got that data to show we have both anti-fibrotic effects and anti-inflammatory effects. So the key milestones for us, a couple of weeks ago we kicked off our manufacturing of AD214. This is really important because it sets out manufacturing slots and getting a pathway to the clinic for us. So we have 12 months worth of manufacturing. Over the next 2 or 3 months, we'll announce how that's going in terms of yield and how that process is moving ahead as scheduled. Then we get into monkeys, so non-human primates, in the second half of next year, and then into the clinic with our phase 1 study. So part of the reason of us moving to 8214 was really the initial discussions that we'd already had with Big Pharma. So I'm out there talking to them. The key milestone for them is really us getting into the non-human primates and completing those studies. In parallel to these milestones, we'll be publishing our data in peer-reviewed journals and developing an iBody pipeline. So coming up behind with 8214 additional iBody products and continually talking to pharma and partners. So for us, sitting behind 8214 is our platform technology. We can build our own internal pipeline with that platform technology, but we can also do research partnerships. So Big Pharma, they're not great at discovery research. They come to companies like AdAlta, they pay big upfront payments and they say, find us some new drugs. And there's been significant deals in that space. So our model is to do both in-house and external R&D. So you see 3 major areas that AdAlta is operating in. So the first, with our lead candidate, 8214, 100 million up front, 400 to 500 million in milestone payments. The second, you see companies doing deals where 20, 30 million R&D funding up front and milestone payments on those drugs. Our closest competitor, Ablinks, was acquired. It actually finalised yesterday with Sanofi. They were bought for 3.9 billion euros. So they had 8 pipeline products and 8 partnerships to get that valuation. So our goal is to do as many of those things as we possibly can. And GPCRs, so difficult to access targets. One of the advantages of our iBody is it's got this long loop sitting on top of it that can get into grooves and receptor sites. So this unusual feature of the iBody is something that enables us to access these difficult to access targets. So you see deals like Receptos, the one that Robert Peach did, being acquired for 8 billion in that therapeutic area, and you see a company like Aptaris being acquired for 400 million with one phase 1 product. So over the last 12 months, we've had significant milestones. We've completed we got orphan drug designation for our iBody, our lead iBody. We broadened out that preclinical package for our lead candidate, showing in all of those models that we have anti-fibrotic activity. We published it. I present at major international conferences talking about our product, up there with Roche, Genentech, AstraZeneca. So it's really amazing to see us out there presenting in terms of those big pharma companies. We've licensed a shark antibody, one of our original leads that we identified in the area of Alzheimer's. We get a percentage of any commercial income from this deal. We've completed some initial safety studies on 8114 and we've got a patent granted for 8214. So expected news flow for us over the next 12 months, 18 months, is really around that milestone of manufacturing, getting that made, getting yields, then publishing our data. We're looking at publishing a lot of the eye data in age-related macular degeneration, the half-life, how long the iBody stays in the body, then moving into safety studies and showing again that 8214 is safe. So significant milestones over the next 12 months. So our focus is on treating idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, a fibrotic condition with a huge unmet medical need. I think this area is very interesting in that a lot of deals happen at a very, very early stage. So for us as a platform company, we're looking to partner our lead at an early stage, so at the end of phase 1. 8214 has significant preclinical validation in this area. We've demonstrated in a number of different animal models that we have data. We've got our orphan drug designation in the lung, so very important in terms of comparing us to the other products. The platform enables us to have both an internal pipeline development but also strategically partner with Big Pharma. So building out that pipeline of products both for us and others, with an option for us to look at potentially acquisitions in the future. We have an early commercialisation opportunity with our lead. We have a strong management team to drive 8214 to development, and we're looking to get that into the clinic as quickly as possible. So thank you.